Left at the Door, a podcast and vlog where we, a group of friends, get together and talk about the things that we left at the door in order to love, grow, succeed, or survive. And today we have one of Jesse's friends and connections on the show with us, Janice.
Yes, my friend Janice is here.
I am.
I heard that you have a story. I've never heard how you... I just always just knew that you are Jesse's friend, Janice. Mm-hmm. So there's more to that, though, apparently.
So we met on the playground at Scoville Zoo, which is the zoo here. And let's see, we were both holding babies. So it was 3 years ago-ish.
Yes.
In spring, it'll be 3 years.
Yeah.
Estrella was little. And Jimmy was
she was
little.
still in like a push cart little.
Yeah. But we were both wearing our children. And then, so instantly I'm like, she's my people. And your other daughter, Veritas, was hugging my daughter, Charlie.
Yes.
They were standing like at the top of the slide and hugging. And I was like, oh, Dustin, Charlie's hugging some other little girl. How cute is that? And I see Janice interact. I was like, oh, hey, our kids are friends now. And so we start talking and just talking about our kids. And I said, and then your son came running around, Sabin. And I was like, geez, how many kids do you have? And Janice says, well, I had 4. And instantly I'm like, fuck. You know, I'm like,
there's a story.
Oh, say more about that awful thing we're going to talk about now. And she very nonchalantly says, yeah, my other son, when he was 21 months old, I put him down for a nap and he just didn't wake up. And I'm standing here fucking horrified because SIDS is like one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
Charlie, I'm thinking, is finally safe from it, but she's barely older than Demos was.
They're at risk till 5.
And I'm holding Jimmy like, oh God, I would just fucking, I cried. And you're like, it's fine. What am I going to do? Just stay sad the rest of my life? And I'm like, yeah, I think that's what a person would do. Is just stay sad the rest of your life. Yeah. And she's like, well, I couldn't really do that. I was pregnant and, or I have another son. And I was like, holy shit.
I was 7 months pregnant. At that point, you have to worry about the baby inside of you.
Yeah.
So, and I still had her early. It wasn't because of my stress. It was because something was wrong with her, like a cord around her neck or something. They didn't tell me what the actual problem was, but I went in for a check because I was high risk. I'm always high risk. And, they are like, yeah, we need to get this baby out now. And of course I had just eaten, so then they had to wait the whole day. Because when you go in for those checks, if you eat beforehand, then the baby's moving around and you don't have to be there all day.
Yeah. Jack always looked like a Muppet baby in my tummy.
Yeah.
Because he would always just be dancing and wiggling.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, of course, my husband was there watching our oldest son. And I'm like, and he was not supposed to be there. He was supposed to be at the office. He had appointments. He was a lawyer for the Air Force. And then I'm like, you're going to have to call your boss and get somebody else to cover your appointments because
I'm having a baby right now.
Yes.
But so that's how we met. Yeah. And I was like, she's such a happy person. She's so lighthearted and fun. And we exchanged business cards like that. That was just a weird. She's like, I make soap sometimes. And I was like, cool, I sell sex toys. That's a neat thing we could bond over. And now we have play dates and the kids. It's so interesting too with quarantine because then I've always said I'm going to go out of my way to socialize my kids. And so Janice is always someone that it's it doesn't matter. I don't care if you guys are a mess. I don't care if your kids show up going, feed me. We just can drop in on each other and it's so nice. Mm-hmm. I invited you on, though, because you do all kinds of stuff that, you're the only person I know that does this.
I find that so strange. I feel like everybody does the stuff I do.
No.
Which is weird to me.
And when I asked, would you come be on it? And she's like, I don't even know what I would talk about. And I was like, you're a homesteader, right? And she's like, I guess.
Yeah, you are. When I was reading your stuff, I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
And you live so close to where we're recording.
I'm 3 blocks from here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe 4, 3 or 4 blocks from here. Yeah.
I want to talk about you walked in. First off, there's so many things. I want you to get back to that the day you gave birth story, all these different things. But I want to bring up you walked in. Yeah. And you sat down and go ahead and tell everyone what you said. Because I was mid-eating.
I don't even remember what I said. Something I've been killing ducks for 2 days.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like... What? Like ducks?
I'm sorry, I'm eating a protein bar. What?
So they're not technically ducks. Well, some of them were. So I had two kinds. I had anaconda. They kind of look like cows.
You had an anaconda?
No.
A snake? Isn't that different than a duck?
No, yes. It's the same.
It's the kind of duck. Okay. Ancana.
Okay.
I just mispronounced. It's a white duck with like black spots, and they're good dual purpose eating ducks and making ducks. So they make a lot of eggs. And we've had the flock probably 2 or 3 years.
I think you had just gotten them.
Yeah, so 3 years. Yeah. I think we got the anacondas then, but then later we got 100 chickens to raise with our neighbors because everybody does that, right?
See, no, I don't have any chickens with my neighbors.
Well, you only raise them for 8 weeks and then you harvest them. And so then you have chickens in your freezer for whenever. And it was like $3.30 per chicken when you worked out the cost.
Yes.
Totally worth it.
That's much cheaper than buying
than buying a $2.99 McChicken sandwich from McDonald's.
And I know exactly what they ate. I know if they had antibiotics. I know how their life was, that they had a good life and ate a lot of bugs, which is what they love. And I know that every part of them was used. Like their feathers I used for mulch in my garden. Doesn't everybody have a plucker in their basement?
I got one like 3 years ago.
But that was for facial hair.
It's just like a washing machine with fingers. So it just takes all the feathers off. And then like...
Can we get a live demo of that?
I need all of this.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Google that.
And then we use every part except for the heads. I don't have a use for the heads.
Did you feed them to the other dogs?
That's what I was gonna say. The dogs would eat them.
Chickens, actually. Chickens are more. I don't have any dogs.
I have a big dog. Gus would love that.
He would love a chicken head. Just throw it in the dehydrator. Yeah.
Well, we have a fox that's been killing a lot of them lately, and so then somebody had dropped off. We get people like randomly drop off poultry because at one point our flock was like 40. Anyway, sorry. Getting back to it. We got the 100 chickens, killed them, and we also, at the same time that we got the 100 chickens, we had gotten like 15 muscovies. And muscovies they look like ducks, but they're not ducks because the evolution is different. They didn't come down the mallard line. They're some other bird way. And they're bigger. They look like geese almost.
Oh, okay.
All my neighbors are terrified. It's hilarious.
They're big.
Yeah, they're really big.
They're really big.
And so it looks like a big goose. And they have these tail ends that really come off. And that's how they defend themselves. And so we got those intending to slaughter them at the same time that we did the chickens. But we were so exhausted from cleaning 100 chickens that we didn't do it. And we've been so tired for the last just thinking about it for the last 3 years. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
You still have them?
Yeah, I still have them until a couple of days ago. And we
finally
wiped everybody out because we're going to move. And so we are not taking the chicken or the ducks. Somebody had dropped off chickens, so we had chickens again, but then the fox ate them. So
how long does it take to kill a chicken?
Well, we do what we think is the most humane method, which is just chopping off the head because it's very sudden. And so and then they flop around for a bit. Chicken with their head cut off.
Yes,
real
Same
thing
for the duck. Yeah, it's the nervous system. And then we hang them upside to drain for a little bit, and thankfully it's cold, so it's like refrigerator outside. And then we just start. We skinned these. We didn't use the plucker because it's just too cold. So
where did you learn that? I mean, did you grow up on the farm?
No, kind of. My mom grew up on a farm, and so my parents were always very interested in permaculture, gardening. My mom always had an acre garden that we always had to take care of. My dad was a hunter who's always very interested in the Mother Earth sort of things. Yeah. Doing your own stuff, and so that's just kind of. Doing something like that is just something that would come naturally. Like they had geese when I was born. Of course, they knocked down my sister right before I was born. My mom's like, when I get back from the hospital, they all better be dead. And she got back and they were not. So she's like, watch this baby and these kids. And she went out and she murderized all of them.
So God.
When Janice sat down,
yes.
I know, when Janice sat down and she said she's been slaughtering ducks, I've got excited because not many people know about this. Tell them what is duck like, because there's a lot of people who haven't experienced it.
It's so good.
Yes.
It's like sirloin. So the Muscovy, the reason we got them is that they taste like sirloin. It tastes straight up like a steak. And if I can grow a steak in my backyard in 8 to 10 weeks, sold.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. So I do that.
You can grow a steak, and it's a lot less complicated to slaughter or harvest a duck than a whole ass cow.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, exactly.
Andrea
And-
is obsessed with duck, though. We
The
hosted.
reason why,
delicious.
because it's really good. And it's funny because my mom is cooking duck for Christmas.
Ooh.
And that's why I was like, do you have any ducks available?
Not anymore. They're all in my freezer.
Can you thaw one? Andrea wants to buy a duck
I
from
want to
you.
buy
We
it from
skin them,
you.
so it's just the meat. It doesn't have the skin on it, so you can't you can't roast it. And I chopped them all up, so they're like I have them
Okay.
packaged up in legs or breasts.
Are you
Gotcha.
making stew with all the chunks of meat with no skin?
No, we just fry it like a steak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
But I'm still
it's-
interested.
There's a restaurant
Yeah.
here in town that serves it, and it's fantastic. And
What
the
is
really,
it?
What is-
it's Robbie's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did not
And they
know
serve
that.
it, and
Next to Giggles.
whoever is cooking there knows what they're doing.
I mean, everything there is
Why
phenomenal.
don't we
Why
have
do
a
we-
food podcast? This is
I
stupid.
know.
Why didn't you bring some of it?
I know.
I know.
And
Because
when,
we ate it all yesterday.
and when Janice makes a meal,
I go
first
all
of all,
out, fresh
she-
bread.
Oh,
she uses the good china for one. For two,
Every day for a meal?
Yeah.
when I'm there,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. She treats me like
Yeah,
the Queen of
always.
England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has like 5 different sides to choose from, and she'll make creme brulee. No big deal. Just whipped up a creme brulee.
Well, because when you have duck eggs, like you gotta figure out what to do because you eat a lot of duck eggs.
Yes.
So creme brulee was a fantastic way to
use up eggs.
use up eggs, like it does in eggs.
She's like, oh, and I made these 2 kinds of bread for you to try.
oh.
And what was the?
oh,
There was this the meat. What was the meat that you made for us when we came?
Was
over?
it a prime rib? We usually made prime rib. Oh no, it was
tomahawk.
The
It was-
the tomahawk steaks. Yeah.
Yep, this
Yum.
steak this thick, and she's like, and here's one for the kids too. And it's like, jeez,
This is amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
her love language is food.
Yes.
That I can
love
believe that.
Yeah. Service.
Love it.
Yeah. yeah.
So I assumed, I guess, with all of this talk that you married like a Paul Bunyan, but then I heard you say that he was a JAG lawyer.
He's a city guy from here, so like I have really converted him because he's like, this is delicious. And today he's like, we're getting more ducks when we go up there because we ate some last night. And he's like, this is amazing.
Ah,
So yeah.
yes.
We had already gotten the I think we'd ordered the ducks, and we went to Robbie's for like Valentine's Day and ordered the duck, and we're like, and the star of that show is really the orange sauce that chef makes is amazing. And we're like, okay, all our ducks are going to die because this is amazing.
They gotta go.
Okay,
Yeah.
what made you do this? How long have you been doing?
So
what
I've
did
always
you
been-
say? A homesteader? Is that what you
Yeah.
called it? Yeah.
Urban homesteading, basically.
Yeah.
I've just gardening is just normal. My family, everybody has a big garden. You can't leave their house without baskets of
Produce.
something. Yeah, whatever's in season. Then they're like, oh my god, take some of this.
Yes. Yes.
So like that's just always been how my family is. We all can. So like I have a pressure canner for doing all my. I'm in the process right now of making broth from all the feet and necks. So yeah. So we definitely and my dad's always
They're the
duck
best.
broth is the best.
They're good.
It's so good.
Okay,
I
Figure
don't
out a
think
little-
they understand.
I'm just
Neck and foot broth.
really mesmerized.
Neck and foot
Yeah.
soup.
Let me
I'm
ask
Well, that's
you
what they make
this.
broth out of.
Janice, let me ask you this. This
See,
was a
some things I don't need-
conversation.
I don't need
That's
to
what.
know.
Yeah. Like that's why I sometimes say like
Ignorance is
whenever I'm
bliss.
like eating something, they're like, oh, let me tell you what's in it. No.
No.
I don't want to know because the minute you say cream cheese, I'm gonna throw up.
And
No.
I love
So,
truffles, but
yeah.
it came from a pile of poop. I
Right.
don't need to know
so
about
I
that
just,
either.
I don't. No, let me just eat it in the end. We had a retreat that Jesse and I hosted, and it was called Reach Retreat. It was like a spiritual retreat.
Yeah.
And Andrea is so obsessed with duck that during one of the meals, I wasn't sitting at the table, so you maybe should
it
tell
was. We had like it was a buffet style. It was like this was obviously salmon, and then this was cubes of some kind of meat.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And we're like, I can't tell if this is like pork or is this chicken or what is this? And Andrea stabs it with her fork, picks it up and looks at it and goes, that's duck. And like takes a bite. And I was like, there's no way that's duck. So I went over to Cassie. I was like, what is this other thing? And she goes, it's pork butt. It's like pork loin. What do you mean? And I was like, Andrea. she was so confident.
She was so confident.
I'm sorry.
I should have done duck.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
Next time.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. She's getting duck for Christmas.
Yeah, and then she left a horrible review for the retreat and was like, because there was no duck.
Yeah.
I actually was going to go to that, but it was the same weekend I was going up to Michigan to visit my other house. So.
Oh, that would be...
Save the date.
Oh, yes, and you should do some sort of like holistic cooking stuff.
Can you do that for us? Yeah. What are you doing February 20-something, 5th? The last weekend of February.
I don't have any plans for February right now.
Put Janice on the schedule. That's
so
a commitment.
Janice, you said you're moving. Are you moving away from Decatur? Or
yes. So my husband's family, like not all of them, but a vast majority of them expired during the last year. Old age, one COVID death. Cancer, like they just like a lot of them pooped out on us.
Wait, what are we? We're still talking about the ducks and the chickens?
No, the moving.
Her husband's family.
I was like, Jesus Christ!
No, we're talking about humans now.
Fucking ducks had COVID?
No. I'm like, that's didn't they kill like a bunch of animals?
Yeah,
they got it.
Well, remember in Iowa there was a pig farm that got it. Yeah.
And like minks or something in the Netherlands, something like that.
So there's a lot of places. Oops, sorry, just jarring the table. There's several places that's why meat prices have gone up because of stuff like that.
But not at Janice's house.
Not at Janice's.
She makes sure there's no COVID in her ducks.
Well, and we didn't want to move. Like it's a 7-hour drive. 8 if you have kids that are making you stop every 2 minutes.
Or a Cassie.
There.
Or a Cassie that pees every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have to stop. We like to go when they're sleeping because then we have to stop less.
Yes.
But we're not moving like 40 birds up there. Like that's.
And where is it that you're going to move to then?
So it's in outskirts of Flint. It's Flushing.
Oh, so going back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. I actually don't have any family that lives in Flushing. A friend of mine that moved back from California and she bought a house in Flushing. I'm like, I didn't think about moving to Flushing. That's a nice area. And they have good schools. But my dad's like 20 minutes south of us or 25 minutes south of us, the way that he drives. And then my mom's family is all like 15 minutes west of us.
Oh, that'll be so nice.
Yeah. So, and that's where all the farms are, and there's goats.
You're going to have
you ever had goats? Goat is so good. Oh my
Not goat meat, but I will tell you, we were raised on goat milk.
Yeah.
So my sister had major asthma, and because of our proximity to Amish country of Illinois, my mom, my grandma, all of them have always done holistic medicine and vitamins and minerals and herbs and stuff like that.
Food is medicine.
Yes, exactly. And so that was the first thing. Like my mom didn't want to breastfeed, and it was just like, I don't know, that's a whole other conversation because of that was just not something that any of them did.
Well, when we were babies, they were told formula has more vitamins.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
push the formula.
Told my cousin that her milk was too thin, and she had to use formula
to thicken it up.
I
have heard stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we, in the end, were raised on goat's milk, and when then fast forward, when I had Jack when I was 25. He had such severe jaundice, and he was in the hospital for weeks. And I was like, we could not flush it out of his system. Well, it turns out he had breast milk jaundice. So my mom was like, just put him on goat's milk. Like, that is how you were all raised. Like, and I was like, let's do it. And we did. And his bilirubin numbers
went up right away.
Yep, within like 24 hours.
Was he your first kid?
He was, yeah.
It's because the milk takes longer to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like all those things. And I know so many people were like, thought it was so foreign, but it has the most similarities to like the antibodies that a human breast milk has. It's the closest thing to human breast milk.
And you're less likely to have any sort of reactions versus cow milk.
So then all of our kids were raised on that. So my niece and nephew and stuff, it just, I don't know.
My soap company is Unigoat Soap, and I use goat's milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Which I buy from the Amish.
Now, why haven't we met earlier, Jessie?
Yeah. Why have you been holding out on us, Jessie?
She's like she's got ducks, goats, soap.
You eat soap?
I love soap. I don't eat soap, but gosh, I'm a soap person.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long? Tell us about the soap stuff. How long have you been doing it?
So I started doing it, I think about 7 years ago. When I can't remember if it was before my second son was born or right after, but my husband, so in the military, there's this thing called a dependa. And it's when you have a spouse that just depends on you and doesn't have any revenue coming in. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the men push their wives, because that's typically the genders we're talking about, to get some sort of revenue stream. And so my husband's like, hey, you should make soap. And I was like, what?
What a random thing.
I'm like, I did not do well in chemistry class. Mm-hmm. Usually because my teacher was talking about, like, breaking into nuclear facilities. And I was like, but that doesn't help me with what's on the page.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I did a lot of research, and I made a few batches, and my husband's like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. And so then I just kept on doing it and making more kinds. And once you get into it, like, you really kind of get obsessed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're like, what can I do? And, like, my sisters can't have any, I have one sister that can't have any sort of, like, essential oil. She can't have any fragrance. So it has to be, like, fragrance-free. So I've, like, developed a whole line of stuff that she can have, because there's a lot of people that are like, I can't have any of that on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my niece and nephew have so many allergies, and I can remember before we had done allergy testing, my sister would, because, you know, she was like, okay, lotion is not doing anything. Aquaphor's not doing anything. So then she moved to shea butter and started putting on, and, like, then that got worse. Oh, well, it's because she had a nut allergy. So I was like, all these things that you think you're doing right.
Nut allergies are hard, too, because it can be some and not others.
100%. Exactly. Right. And so something like that, where it's just so clean and so pure, is such a lifesaver.
Well, and you don't even, so in the soap industry, you don't have to label your ingredients. But I always do, because people are allergic to the weirdest thing. Like, I put carrots one time just for the color. And a lady's like, I'm allergic to carrots. And I'm like, well, thank God I listed it.
Yes. Yeah. I would always rather have clients be safe than sorry.
Right.
Put it on there, and that way then there is no question. Somebody can make that choice.
Yeah. And that's what everybody who buys from me says. They're like, I love that there's all the ingredients, and I know exactly what I'm getting.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, fragrance-free, because my daughter has eczema. And we did not, when she was a baby, she broke out super bad. And we did not know why this baby is doing the twiggles on the carpet. And so we took her to her dermatologist, and we had to change a lot of stuff in her house. Yeah. So now we're down to, for her, we're slowly introducing back fragrance, but just for me and my husband, but not for her. We also still have to be careful, because sometimes the impact of your fragrance can impact their skin
it does.
Smell.
When you're holding them
we don't wear anything with fragrance around my sister.
It's important to know that. And a lot of people are not aware of how much your fragrance can impact other people. Not because they don't, they hate it, their smells, but because of their reaction they can get.
Yeah. Their physiological reaction.
When Ben Franklin, I think Ben Franklin's closed now. It's a school across town, like elementary school. It's closed now, but when it was open last, I think the secretary had an allergy like that, so there were signs on the door, can't wear fragrances.
Yeah.
S&S Heating in Arthur, Illinois has everything you need to turn up the heat this summer. From fireplaces to gas fireplaces and inserts, pellet and wood stoves, outdoor fire pits, and the big green egg. S&S Heating, your one-stop alternative heating shop.
So I had 2 boys, 2 girls. Our oldest daughter is 5, and then our other daughter is 3. So,
yes. And then, so you said then 2 of them are on the spectrum?
Yes. The first girl and the first boy. Yeah. So she's more high functioning. You wouldn't notice necessarily, except, like, she doesn't really respond. She's not quite as conversational all the time, but she's a very good helper, and she wants to be. Like, this is the best example. She, like, really insisted that she got a lunchbox, and I was like, she really wanted to take her lunch, and I couldn't figure out, like, why do you want to take your lunch so bad? So I got her lunch. I happened to have one on hand because I bought it at clearance, and I thought one day one of my kids will want to take their lunch. So I was ready to go, and then we made her lunch, and when she had her lunch and she was walking around talking to the other kids right before they let them into the building in the morning, I noticed that a lot of the other girls in her class all brought their lunch. So she wanted to feel included. So like, so she's learning coping mechanisms.
Yes.
But she is, the teacher loves her because like she's the first one in line because our last name starts with an A. And so she's like, okay, Veritas, take them up to music, which is like 3 stories up. And she'll lead the whole class and stop where they're supposed to stop. And the teacher doesn't even have to worry about it. She'll be down on the first floor making sure the stragglers get up there. And she's fantastic at that. But, like, we're splintering on skills like reading because she's been in speech therapy since she was 3. So,
That's a lot to juggle, I'm sure.
Yes.
Like, so you're doing
Soap making is my outlet.
Yeah. That
Gardening
makes sense.
is my outlet.
Okay, so those are therapeutic things to, like, refill your cup.
Oh, yes. And my husband doesn't quite get that yet. I'm sure one day he'll understand, but he enjoys eating all the food that I make. And then cooking is also my outlet too. So like that all helps me, refill my cup and so that I can function. Yeah.
So can you go back and tell us, we started at the very beginning of the podcast that Jesse asked you about how many kids you have and things like that. Can you talk about that experience and, I guess to however much you want to talk, whatever you're comfortable about, but kind of go through that and where you're at in this journey with your grief.
Well, so like it comes in waves. And so in the beginning, you're sucked down into the deepest part of the ocean and you can't get a breath. And I knew that I was in trouble. So I went and got antidepressants right away, talk therapy right away. Like, I got a lot of interventions for myself because I was the one who was home with him at the time. And I knew I was in, like, PTSD. Like, I couldn't sleep, all that.
And you said at this point you were 7 months pregnant?
I was 7 months pregnant, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so then, and my thinking was, I have to stay healthy because I have to deal, I'm not in control of my own body at this point. So I did all these interventions so that I could be fine. And I still had my oldest son to take care of. But I mean, it was bananas. Like, because my husband was in the military police like pulled my husband in and were like, why did your wife kill your son? And like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And there was this family court judge that was certain either I or my son killed our other son. But the coroner who did the autopsy was like, I know he called us and he's like, I know you didn't do anything to your kid. Like, I can tell he's very well taken care of. Like, so like, at least someone was on our side.
Yeah, it was just
professional.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, somebody who's seen this before.
Yes.
So he was very kind. His wife was also a JAG. And so they got our number through channels. So that was very kind. But yeah, it was real. So like all that's going on. I mean, we're dealing with the police. They want to like image my phone. Like, so there's a lot going on. Obviously, I'm not in jail, so obviously I didn't do anything.
Well, and also, well, I mean, that still happens, but that's a whole separate podcast. But and you're also dealing with like, what did I do wrong? So you've got that on
the
yourself,
guilt or
and now you have outsiders looking at you, going like, "What did you do?"
Right, exactly. And you're trying to stay not panic, because if you panic, like that can have disaster for the baby.
Yeah.
And so like I'm trying not to panic and stay calm. And in a crisis, I'm great. I can be very calm and decisive, and I'm gonna fall apart later. So it was great because so I have legal training. I have a JD. And
what's
so,
that?
A Juris Doctorate. If I take a bar exam, I'll be a lawyer.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. So so in that training that they do, they kind of teach you how to compartmentalize, because you have clients accused of horrible things, and you have to be able to set aside your feelings of those things and do what's best for them. And so through using that training, I was able to like talk to the police, tell them everything that happened before I like completely lost my mind. I'm like, I have to tell you everything now because I have terrible memory and I don't want to not tell you things that
and you have
I don't remember.
And you have mommy memory
and
too.
I have mommy memory, which made it even worse. And I'm like, I have to tell you everything right now. And so they made me go through it twice or 3 times. I don't even remember. But yeah, the military was great though. They were very helpful because he was so young. They like the funeral home in town did everything for free. We had him cremated so he could go with us, because I'm not going to bury my kid and you know, where we were, because then we're moving. Why? That seems silly. And then, like, a lot of the newspapers put their ad in for free, so that, or not ad, the obit. When they're young like that, they do them for free when they're under 2. So yeah, and like we never got really an answer of why he died. So
I feel like I'd be on a rampage until I knew.
Well, so it happens sometimes. Like they can't. It could have been a heart. It could have been like a sleep apnea situation. It could have. He was slightly warm, but he wasn't even warm enough for me to give him medicine. Like he was just slightly warm, and that was the one thing. I'm like, he wasn't sick, and we had. It could have been pneumonia, because we had been sick 3 weeks. I took him to the doctor, and I'm like, he's sick. What do I do? I think that the whole family was sick then. Yeah, we were all sick. We had some sort of cold or something. And so, like, we had been sick, and so, like, it could have been part of that going on. Like, he had walking pneumonia maybe, and it just happened to hit him hard while he was in his nap. But he took a nap every single day at 2 o'clock. Like, I wouldn't even realize it's 2 o'clock, and he'd be like, I'm going to sleep now.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but he was, like, the sweetest, kindest kid. Anytime his brother was sent to timeout, he went and sat with him. Aww. Like, he was the perfect child. So, it was very helpful. He was a little vegetarian eater. Like, I would cook just, like, sheets of vegetables for my husband when he had to lose weight for the military. And so he would be always eating asparagus and carrots with his dad, stealing all the broccoli. Like, he was fantastic. We're super funny.
So then how do you guys continue? I'm assuming you'd continue to talk about him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You know, talk about that, because I think everybody's family is different.
Right. Yeah.
And talk about that,
It's nice
please.
to talk about him because you're keeping him alive. And so we have pictures up in our house of him. We talk about him a lot. And some people are like, I want to bring this up. And I'm like, it's kind of nice to talk about him, to think about him.
Yeah.
And it's been 5 years now. Yeah. So, yeah. I get a little verklempt, but I'm fine.
That's okay. I mean, I'm sure people avoid it because they get uncomfortable. We discussed this the other day, that it was like people can't deal with their own emotions or being present in a situation like that. And when you told me, you're like, we just kind of deal with it with humor. And we, you know,
make jokes because it helps us. It helps us cope. Yeah.
And I'm very much that way too. And I say things sometimes, and Cassie's like, "Oh my God, it's fucking awful." It's like, yeah, but you know, it's what you got to do.
Yeah. And my husband is kind of an Eeyore, and so I have to be the bubblier person. Yeah. So like, it's not an option for me to go to a dark place, really, and I don't think I could. Very easily.
You have 3 other kids to take care of too.
Right. Yes. That makes a huge difference.
And and my oldest is like 5 kids. Like I have to be right with him. He's a lot.
He's a lot.
I generally don't bring him when we go to Jess's because you have to be right on top of him. He's into everything. When he goes into a new house, he like catalogs in his brain every single item in your house. He'll look in drawers, closets, everything. And like every time we go to my dad's house, which is quite often, he has to search the whole house when we first get there, make sure everything is where it was.
Right. Yes. Hasn't moved.
Yeah. Well, apparently when they know a room, if you move like a chair, it's a whole different room to them. So
he would not like our living room right now.
I think they call that mapping or something.
Yeah.
You changed the living
We
room?
rearranged our sofas.
Yeah, he would die. But sometimes when I move, but then I think that's kind of fun too. So sometimes I move in like, what room are we in now?
Oh, exactly.
So yes. Mess with them a little bit.
So then he kind of has to adapt into a new situation.
Right. Yeah. And we've never stopped taking him out because what a lot of people do is because their kid gets overwhelmed at, say, Walmart. Like, when you hear kids screaming at Walmart, they're generally overstimulated because it's too much of everything. And so we tend to go to Sam's Club, actually. We're at Sam's Club, like, every day.
They have the best pizza in town.
They have the best pizza in town.
And it's open again.
Yes.
We've been
there.
Yeah.
Yep. And he likes the pepperoni. It has to be pepperoni pizza or he's not eating.
Yeah. It's the best. It is the best pizza in town, though.
Yeah.
Better than Casey's?
Yeah.
Casey's
It's their cheese situation.
So the ratio is just really good.
Yeah, it's really good. We know everybody that works in the cafe.
You get a fourth of a pizza, a fourth of a large pizza,
although if you're doing
a giant drink for $2.50.
Yeah, right. But if you're doing a whole family, it's more economical to pay the $7 and get a whole pizza.
$7 for a whole pizza.
For a whole pizza.
Yeah.
We're having pizza for dinner.
Yeah,
I just decided.
Yep.
Executive
and they have
decision.
other things too, like they have churros and they have
hot
pretzels,
dogs. They have great hot dogs.
Yep. I usually get hot dogs. I'm lactose intolerant, so I usually get hot dogs.
Oh,
but
just kill me.
I have pills. I can eat them and
so that you
eat
can.
Pizza.
Yeah. If I would just rather die than not be able to eat cheese.
Oh my God, it was the worst. I was married 6 months and I became lactose intolerant. And my husband's like, I'm taking you back to the store.
I'm returning you. You're
returning you.
Yeah.
Okay, can you do goat's milk products?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And of course, I always go and buy tons of goat's milk.
Of course.
But yeah, so we're like talking about my uncle has goats, and I'm like, I wonder if I can talk him into some like Nubian dwarf. I think they're called dwarf goats, and they do a lot of milk.
Are you going to have goats when you move up to Michigan?
So our new house is in like a suburb, so we couldn't have it at our house. But my uncle's farm is 15 minutes away.
Beautiful.
I was going to say, what are you going to do? Yeah, with chickens and ducks, you're just going to stop?
My dad's like 30 minutes away, and I have to check on my dad. He's turning 80 this fall or this February.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And so but his theory has always been that if you stop moving, then you stop being able to move.
100%.
Yeah. So he's
fully agree.
So he's very, very active, and so he is.
It's cyclical. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then he gets down with plays with the kids. He chases them around. He is
That's
very
awesome.
active. Yeah. So I think he'll be okay for a while, but by the time they hit 80, it can be any time now. So and he generally comes to visit us 3 or 4 times a year, but I would rather him not drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although he owns a collision repair shop, he's selling it to my cousin. So
he won't retire though. It sounds like he's not the kind that to
he
just
had strokes 10 years ago, and so then he basically retired, and so my cousin's is running it.
Does he still show up to work and stuff? He still goes in?
He goes, his problem is his small motor control. But sometimes he goes down there just to shoot the stuff, just to talk.
You can say shit on this podcast.
Okay, there you go. Just to shoot the shit, and
It was going to be called
the shit show. Welcome to the shit show.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
That's my life. I was raised in a body shop with all these men that do not
say words.
They say a lot of words. My dad was in the Navy. So he goes down there and he, my cousins run it. And so obviously it's still very close with them. My one cousin that's buying it is his son.
Yeah.
He's basically said he's his son. So, it's been a nice little family situation, and that's where the best gossip is about anything going on.
You know what? My dad sits at McDonald's every morning with all the retirees.
We call those callus butters.
Callus butters.
Callus
butters.
Callus butter.
That's too funny.
He needs a shirt.
They were on the news because for giving advice. And my dad was like,
they had a sign that said free advice.
Free advice. And people are, pulling up and whatnot and getting this free advice. And then, like he said, he's like, it may not be great advice, but at least it's free.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that it comes to that age and all of a sudden it's like,
what do you got to lose?
Yeah.
Well, my mom passed 9 years ago, so there's nobody at home for him to talk to. Although we did get him one of those video chat things. I think it was
iPad? Cell phone?
No. It's
the hub.
but it's the one from Amazon. The shower. Something like that.
With you.
So we can pop in on him, because otherwise we'd have to wait till somebody was there with a cell phone to pop in and be like, what are you doing?
Right.
Here's the kids.
Yes.
And he loves it. Sometimes he goes on baby cam and they carry my phone all over the place talking to him. Yeah. So it can be a little...
Yeah. We got one for my kids so that they could call, because we're not giving them phones, but that way they could call my mom.
Yeah.
So they like that. Okay, your dad was in the Navy.
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with you marrying a military man?
No, because when I met him online, as people did in those days, 2007, he was going to law school in the town that I was working in, Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is our favorite place we've lived, and we've lived all over the world. So he was going to law school, and so I had no, so until right before we got married, he's like, I'm going to take a job with the Air Force. I'm really digging this opportunity. And I'm like, he's like, you said you want to travel, and so let's go.
Here we go.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Let's do it on someone else's dime.
Yeah, exactly. That was his, because he is cheap.
Yeah.
And so that's why he likes all the homesteading stuff.
Yes.
I call him a dragon because he likes to sit on his gold.
Oh, yes.
That's the picture in my head. So then he got headhunted for that, really. He was number 2 in our law school, like grade-wise. And so they were hot after him. So they got him. And we went off on an adventure. And luckily, my law school, because I was graduating in January, but they let me finish all of the stuff that I had to do. I was like doing an externship and a couple of, was I taking classes then? I think I was just doing my externship at the end, and they let me start a little bit early and leave a little bit early so that I could travel with him on Thanksgiving when he moved to Europe.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Which was the second time I lived there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So all over the world.
All over the world.
Where was the worst place you lived?
Mississippi.
Really?
Yes.
The bugs.
Everything is trying to kill you.
Everything. It's like Australia.
I got rosacea. I still have not been able to get rid of this rosacea I got when I was living there. Mm-hmm. And like it's terrible. The bugs, although cheap fried chicken, let me tell you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
amazing Vietnamese food.
Mm-hmm.
So weird.
What a combo.
Just the racism was, and blatant too. And it was just like,
unnerving.
Because you've seen racism like a little bit up here, but down there it's
like you're still living
disgusting.
in the 50s.
Yeah, like it's bad. Like my husband was in, I don't remember what vehicle. They were in a vehicle with his friend who happens to be black. They're both bald-headed military men, right? I think they were even wearing their uniforms. And they were getting gas, and they were waiting for this guy to leave, and he just sat there and like crossed his arms and wouldn't leave because there was a black man who wanted to use that pump.
Wow.
Like, it was crazy.
Unbelievable.
Do not go there.
Note to self. Avoid the state of Mississippi.
Visit Mississippi is no longer going to be a
sponsor. Damn it.
It's so, it makes you, though, I think this is why people have to get outside of their bubble.
Yes.
Because the ones that are like, well, that doesn't happen nowadays. People don't feel that way.
There's no such thing as racism now. I have a black friend.
Right. And it's so heartbreaking because it's like, you have such a sheltered life if that is truly your belief system.
And the town I grew up in was a small town that was entirely white except for we had a couple of exceptions every year. There was 1 or 2 kids of some other ethnical cultural difference. But otherwise, like, it was a sea of white faces. And so when we were talking about where to move after the military, we wanted to live somewhere that was very mixed. Mm-hmm. And so downtown Decatur is very mixed. We wanted it to be we wanted to normalize seeing people with different beliefs, different colors. We want them to have that multicultural experience. Mm-hmm. And so I think we really did that.
Where do your kids go to school?
So my daughter's at, it's Dennis Kaleidoscope. They split Dennis.
Okay, Dennis Lab. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was the Mary French building. Mm-hmm. So it's right here, which is fabulous because I can like walk there from my house.
Yeah.
Now when it's super cold, she doesn't like that. Mm-hmm.
Nobody does.
The boss says drive me.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I made her walk all summer though.
We live across the street from our school.
Yeah.
And when it's like rainy, Jack's like, could I get a ride?
Literally across.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? There's going to come a day when he doesn't want me to like go walk with him or want me to drive him. So I'm like, sure, I'll take you.
And it's coming fast.
I know.
My son's at Muffley, but he's in the social emotional program. They have a really good social emotional program for kids that like he needs a lot of intervention. And what we found that works with him is a one-on-one. He needs an adult's entire attention. And they found him the perfect person that likes video games and like, and thank God they got him. He reacts differently to men versus women. So he had to have a male.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think it becomes because his dad was in the military and was gone all the time. Like, I don't even think he saw him very much his first year of life because he'd come home after the kids asleep and leave before he woke up. And it was insane. That was an insane summer. Because his entire department, either PCS moved on to the next station or they were deployed because this was the height of the Middle Eastern Michigas. So, like, that's all going on. And so, so he was the only lawyer, and, like, and yeah, so then, you know, I have to do everything. So when would you practice law? Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's 80 hours a week if you have a light load.
Oh, right.
So, like, and he's like, we would just hire people. I'm like, my kids are still little. I don't want to, like, maybe later when they, you know, don't want to be seen with me, like, sure. Because I can always take the bar.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal.
Exactly. Do you miss it? Do you miss that world?
I missed it a little bit in that I like that. So legal work is pretty much all paperwork.
Yeah.
And it's not always cut and dried. It can be very gray, very nuanced. But, like, finding the arguments and all that is very fun and interesting, and it definitely keeps life hopping. And knowing that you help someone when they didn't know who else to turn to is really, like, really gets you. Mm-hmm. But there's situations that you come across and you're like, this is going to destroy me mentally.
Yeah.
So what kind of law would you, if you took the bar, what kind of law would you get into?
I would probably do a lot of family law because that's what people need help with. Mm-hmm. But you just kind of fall into your place where you go and what you're interested in. I like family law because I really like divorce, because if you can mediate, if you can mediate,
I did too,
people,
actually.
Divorce, a sponsor of this podcast.
It's really fascinating because you can mediate it instead of having, because what happens is in the divorce process you're going at each other, and so then your whole frame of being is, I'm going to fight you to the death. And how do you co-parent like that? You can't co-parent.
You can't at all.
And so if you rather come to the table like, what is the best for our family? And because you never want to judge making a decision of what's the best for your family, because it's not going to be what you want.
No.
And nobody's going to be happy in that situation. So it's always best to have an agreement beforehand, before you go in, because it can just be drawn out forever. So, like, I really enjoy that. So, like, the mediation part of it, where you're like, okay, what's going to work best for you guys? And then just kind of deal it nuts and bolts. I like that. But,
and you and your husband have that in common. That's how you guys met. What do you do now that's, like, your common ground?
Like, what do we do together?
Yeah, what do you do together?
A lot of audiobooks.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're doing the Wheel of Time series because the show just came out. Mm-hmm. And so he is scorching me because he's so much farther along, but he gets to lay in bed all day and I have to, do the laundry and whatever. But Audibles is like how I'm...
That's how I love to read, but I mean, even with COVID, like being downtime and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't have that. But if it weren't for Audible books.
Because we need to multitask.
Oh,
I can't just sit and read a book. I have to be doing 10 things.
Even when I sit down and I have the time and I could read, like I just can't shut that off because it's been 9 years of run.
Well, during shutdown, I repainted my whole house. I made Jack help me. And I got through like 6 books because I just would put it on and just start painting, you know? Yeah. But multitasking is a huge thing. And we asked you off the air, we said, well, why not take the bar? Why haven't you? And you said that. You said, I'm just so busy.
Yeah. I don't even have time to make soap half the time because I'm like fighting the laundry monster and the dish monster. But sometimes the dish fairy comes and does the dishes. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to like teach the kids to do stuff so that I have less to do.
Yeah.
So like, and the part of being a parent is teaching them how to survive in the world, and without knowing how to do laundry, how are they going to survive in the world?
Right. Seriously.
And the dishes.
Yeah. This is why we stuck our children in a Montessori school system.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jack was doing what they consider practical life in preschool, where it's plant care, learning to make tea, ironing, like all these things.
Feeding the birds, grinding the coffee, sewing a button.
Yeah. All the things that it's like, you don't realize that someone taught you that. You know what I mean? Like, think about the life skills that we have that you're like, at some point someone taught me that. I don't remember it, but I did learn it,
I'm a Gold Award Girl Scout, so I went all the way through a silver and gold.
Yes.
Ooh.
And so, like, I got a lot of skills from that. My mom had done it when she was a girl, and so she was big in the in the regional chapter, and she like very much made us all go through that. And you do learn so many skills through that. But also I'm very much like my mom in that she did all this stuff. Like, oh, you need a bridal dress? Need a wedding dress? Yeah,
I'll just whip one up. Yeah.
That's my mom. And always made fresh bread every winter. And yeah, like she made a special bread in the winter that family members still long for, even though she's been gone 9 years.
Did she leave the recipe?
Of course she did.
Do you make it?
She did.
She taught me how to do it. Yeah, of
That's
course.
good though. We get so mad because my grandma was like, "Oh, I think I wrote it down," and we'd find the recipe, we'd make it.
Never the same.
Never the
No,
same.
it doesn't taste the same. I'm like, I don't know what
Get a
men
little
did
bit of
differently.
this, a little bit of that.
And be like,
Yeah.
oh, I added a pinch of this and this, but you know that's not on the card.
Things also taste better when you didn't make them yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
That is a
They
good point.
really do.
That's what I say about that, like with my chicken, like because I kill my own chickens and stuff like that too.
Because I do that. That's a thing I do.
No, we joked about it, and I'm like, when you said that, you're like, you just think it's such a common thing, and I think it's so cool because I'm fascinated at this skill set. Like,
Well, I think if you're willing to eat meat, you should be willing to kill things. And then,
I don't know about that.
yeah. Well, that's
your perspective.
That is fair.
That's
Yeah.
the
That is
mindset
fair.
of the family that I came from.
I
If
agree.
you're,
Yeah.
if you're going to do that, then you have to be willing, and you have to be able to see the whole process. So, like, my 5-year-old was very involved. When she was 3 and we did it, not as much.
Is Veritas in Girl Scouts?
No, not. I was going to sign her up and I forgot. I'll sign her up next year for sure. But I'll probably wind up being the leader.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. Somebody's
Yes.
got to be the leader.
You need more things on your plate.
I do need more things because my new house is so amazing. I'll have less things because, like, it's main floor laundry.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
So what does a perfect day look like for you?
I was gonna ask that too. Yes.
Okay. Kids off to school for sure.
Okay.
And then, like, I like a hot beverage in the morning, so a cup of tea. I'm really into oolong right now, or coffee, but generally it's oolong because I'm obsessed with it right now. And then I like to sit down with, like, my goal. I have, like, from Martha Stewart, she has, like, this goal tracker. And so I write down, like, my goals for the day and what do I want to get done and what do I need to think about and what do I need to do another day. And, I just try to focus on what I need to do that day, or I just go take a nap. Because
I love a nap. My perfect day definitely includes a nap.
Yeah, naps are wonderful. And then, making some food for the family for dinner and just kind of cuddling when they come home from school, that sort of fun stuff.
And everyone's in a good mood and eats exactly what you cook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my son never, we don't even cook for him anymore at this point. Yeah, he is the straight autism diet, so chicken nuggets, potato, pretty much in any iteration. He'll eat any sort of potato you got. He likes baked potatoes, though, so that's usually what we do. And I sneak nutritional yeast in wherever I can.
Yes. Yes.
And then pepperoni pizza, and he's a good cheese eater, a fantastic fruit eater, so we eat a lot of, like, melons and stuff, and but yeah, he drives me insane because I have to make a completely different meal for him. Yeah. So
When we've been there, it's like our dinner is ready. And it's like, save in your pizzas in the oven. It'll be ready, or it'll be here in a minute.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
for sure. Because, like, we have a rule, if he's going to eat with us, like, he has to take one bite of everything. Because generally, if you can get that one bite in him, he'll eat it.
Yeah.
It's just he's got that mental block of,
Yes.
this is going to be disgusting, or something he's heard on YouTube.
Yeah.
I take YouTube away a lot.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of viewers and listeners can resonate with so many pieces of your story, from the grief side of it, of losing a child and that connection, and, the working mom side, or doing all the things all the time. There's just so many aspects of your story that are just so unique that have so many takeaways for people.
We always say that somebody cursed us by saying your life will be interesting. I think it's an old gypsy curse.
I like it.
Yeah, so we definitely have had that.
There's no dullness.
No, no, not at all. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Thanks for coming on and sharing with us.
thank you.
I appreciate it. I learned so much about you. It's great.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I just feel like we could break it up into, like, so many parts. Like, the
Military
world.
spouse.
Yes, military spouse world.
Going to law
And
school, not practicing.
Yes.
Homesteading.
Yes. Having children that have, You know, just autism.
There's actually a name for women that go to law school that wind up marrying somebody else in law school and not practicing. They're called a Trixie.
A Trixie?
A Trixie.
I had a sugar glider named Trixie once.
What? Just because? I mean, is there...
No, I mean, I
negative
don't know
connotation,
the root,
of course.
I don't know the root origin of it, but I think I want to say Chicago developed.
Do you put that on a resume? Be like, I'm just
also
going
a
to say Trixie.
And a dependa.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of got me too.
Yeah. Which I'm like,
interesting.
Well, because he's laying in bed all day, so he's upstairs, and he doesn't see that I'm, doing the laundry and the dishes and sweeping the floor, because as soon as the kids come in, everything is destroyed.
Yes.
It looks worse than it did before, and he's like, you didn't do anything today. And I'm like, I did everything.
And how long has he been out then? And he...
5 years?
Yes.
How old is my youngest? She's 3, so 4 years? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was because of medical discharge then? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's got a bad back and a shoulder that they didn't fix, even though they knew it was bad for like 7 years. Yeah, so that was fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wound up getting a fusion in his neck when I think he was like 35, 36, something like that.
Yeah.
And just in the military, you have to be back at work in 30 days, no matter what. Mm-hmm. We had a friend that had open heart surgery, and 30 days, they're like...
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he recovered badly because he really needed another month off.
Yes.
So
what does life look like for the two of you then? Like how has that changed knowing now that you have everything on your plate,
Well, so my brother-in-law is fantastic, and he comes and helps us. So that's going to be very different when we move. He comes quite often to help me with, he lifts all the heavy things and helps me move things around, and helps me a lot with the ducks and everything. But it's very different because we did a lot of like home improvements together and renovations, and now I do all of that. Like I'm tiling the floor. Although granted, I've been tiling it since I was pregnant with my first daughter. So like 5 years, I still haven't finished it.
Like one tile a
The
day.
problem is you have to like, once you cut them and lay them, like you have to like glue them down, but then nobody can walk on it for like 24 hours.
Right. Yeah.
So like,
where's everyone going to go?
Exactly.
For those 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, can you take the kids somewhere so I can do this?
That's what needs to happen. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I always joke that I'm going to drop one kid off with my dad and one off with each sister.
So it's manageable.
Yeah. So then I can finish tiling the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who knows?
You're a little superhuman.
She's
you know that?
I feel like this is so urban. Like, I feel like it's so normal, and it's so weird to me that it's not.
She sent me a picture of this big picture window the other day. She's like, I'm performing surgery.
Oh, because the house we live in was built in 1870, and so it has original windows, and we're in the historic district, so you cannot replace the windows. There are 52 in the house. So it'd be like 52. It'd be like 57,000. I got a quote if I replaced them.
Yes.
Who is that? No. I paid 15,000 for the house. I'm not going to put 52 in the windows. Like that's ridiculous. So you they all need to be restrung. So I'm like taking them apart, restringing them, putting them back together, painting them all. I'm doing a high gloss white. I think it looks very, very put together.
Yes.
So. And it doesn't scuff, or if people write on it, you can wash it off really easily. I think about all these things.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Having children and then doing the house.
Yeah, the 3-year-old is really into writing on everything. So, like, every surface is painted. Or
Jimmy writes on his own body.
Oh, she went through that phase, yeah.
I would take that over the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we can wash that.
Well, we started there, and then we went to walls.
Then it wasn't enough. We needed a bigger canvas.
Well, so I have, so I put paper, like craft paper. I have it down. I have one of those really big rolls, and I, like, covered the whole room that was the dining room floor. So then anytime I see my daughter with a pencil or something, I'm like, put it on the floor. And she does, and she loves it. It's fantastic. Yeah. And then I don't have to deal with it. I can just rip it up and throw it away.
Yep.
That is a perfect idea.
Yeah, Jimmy came to me the other day and he said, Mom, I accidentally got some marker on me. I need a wipe. And I look, and from his rib cage all the way to the back of his knee is just covered in black marker. I accidentally got some marker.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
Just a little tiny bit.
Go get in the bathtub. We're not doing that with a wipe.
The
But
worst
take a whole
was
package.
during remote school when they sent home a ton of supplies. Well, some of the markers they sent home were not washables.
Why do those exist?
I don't know why they exist. They're the worst.
You
things.
should have to buy those from a locked cabinet so
Yeah.
you're fully aware of the decision you're making.
And
when you
then,
buy those
exactly.
markers.
Yes.
You should give your driver's license over.
Oh,
so you
exactly.
can get those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And so my daughter got into them. She found a box of them because we've been moving stuff around, and who knows where I put them to get them out of the way. And yeah, all over the wall. Luckily, it was one I haven't painted yet. All over her. She had it in her mouth. Her mouth was blue. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It must have been brother.
Of course.
Yeah.
She's really good at the line. So. And she says it with kind of she still sounds like a baby.
Yes.
And so it's adorable.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be mad.
That's what I always think about that. It's like when they're cute, you're like, oh, you can kind of get away with anything.
She gets away with a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But we found we have to be more strict with her because she's getting away with too much. And she's a little monster. And she's really into like, na boo boo. So she taunts. So we're like,
a little shyster baby.
Yeah. She's going to be a lawyer.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Keeping
Take
it
care
in the family.
Take care of mom and dad.
Yeah. There you go.
Put them in a good home.
So we had so many kids, so we wouldn't have to be in a home. Yeah.
Just live with one of them.
Yeah. There you go. RV, just drive to each one.
Oh,
That would be a good
what we
idea.
want to do with mom.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
I love that idea. I do too. Urban homesteader.
Yeah.
Janice Acklin.
We need like weekly tips, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's going to come to.
Yeah.
Tips.
Yeah, so you're going to start thinking about that.
Because that gets, like, there's a lot. I gotta do. It's not. I'm assuming not everybody does this now because you guys say that it's not normal. I have a planter in my house, and we've planted like herbs and stuff because I need to have something growing. Because I need to use parsley and cilantro and everything. And so, so now I have that going right now. No, it's not.
That's
typical.
nice. No, I can't even keep a succulent alive.
Yeah.
And those thrive in neglect.
Right. That's I just took a picture
I
of
just like
mine.
water them once a day, and they're happy.
I was like, hey, does somebody want
Once a day?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why mine's dying.
Well, succulents don't need that much.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
This
They
one,
need like a
It's like
spray.
this one's
Just
got
a
like
spray.
yellow at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Like a
like getting
spray
yellow.
bottle.
Oh, maybe that's what I need
Can
to
I
do.
mist it once a day? If I have succulents, how often do I do that?
I don't do succulents. I have no idea.
Jesus.
We
It's
just
the one thing I don't do. Can you eat a succulent? Probably. I can.
If it's not for food.
aloe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Aloe.
Chomp chomp.
I went out to California to visit my uncle, and he had all these huge aloe plants, and I got sunburned because it's California and the sun is everywhere. So I like went up to one of the 100 of plants he had, and I chopped off one at the bottom, and I split it open, and I laid it on my arm, and my aunt's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is burn relief."
Right.
How do you not know
How do you
that?
not
Why
know
do you
that?
have
How do
aloe?
you
if
know?
you're-
Right.
Yeah. It was a girlfriend of her brother's. They have a
Just
ranch.
so foreign.
Yeah. So she had planted. It was the next girlfriend now. So that she had planted all these plants, and then they didn't. They were just there.
My grandma B always had an aloe plant, and that was anytime we had a boo-boo, go snap off a piece of the plant and
And the ones they had were like eaten ones because they were huge.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
My
cool.
mom used to, back in Guyana, she had big aloe plants. It was, it's pretty.
I want one now.
I don't envy, I don't have a big green thumb, but I always wanted to do like plant my little plant stuff or whatnot.
Should Google like plants that
Yeah.
are hard to kill that I get to eat.
Exactly.
Kale. That would,
Kale,
yeah.
And
Zucchini.
You just kind of just
Yeah.
throw them down.
Yeah.
You know what's great about Decatur is free mulch.
Where?
Really?
Yeah, you
The
have
city?
to go. You
Yeah.
go to the city on Jasper Street. They have an office. The streets department, and you sign a waiver that you won't be mad if they put ruts in your lawn when they're dumping off your mulch. And they'll, how many truckloads do you want? I got 3 this year.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that was a thing.
3.
Yeah.
Some cities even do free compost. They don't, but some cities do.
Like you
Wow.
can drop off your stuff for compost?
No. They
No.
it's like when they're cutting trees and stuff down.
Yes.
Okay.
So some cities will also have like a lot of plant matter, and so they'll do like a free compost that they'll drop off. But the city just says free mulch, which is fantastic. Cover my garden in it, then I don't have to do weeds. So I don't do weeds.
See, these are the types of tips that people don't realize.
Yep. So
we got to powwow. We got to brainstorm.
Yep.
We do.
More tips coming at you.
Yes.
Well, thanks again for being on. This has been super educational and fun and informative. And we're so glad you were here. Mm-hmm. All right. We'll be posting tips from Janice.
Oh, definitely.
Sure. So stay tuned on our social media for that stuff. This has been another episode of Left at the Door.